The first thing I'll be covering in this video is the basics of riding. Now before you even get started, you need to find a good open area where you can move around, there's not a lot of cars, there's not a lot of rocks, and you can just ride safely. Skate parks are good, also just any empty parking lots work well too. Next, I want you to really set up your trucks to a point that's comfortable. Now this is how you tighten or loosen the trucks. You adjust this bolt right here. So I want you to adjust them loose and tight and then stand on your board and see how it feels. As you can see, my trucks are quite loose. I prefer it that way, and it helps out my balance because when I need to adjust from side to side, my trucks can move, and they move with the way that my body moves, so I don't fall off the board, but the board just moves and I turn a little bit. You're going to need your trucks a little bit loose to do some of the turns we're going to learn. So stand on your board, readjust your trucks, and find a point that's really comfortable for you, and it'll differ from each person's weight as they stand on that board. Next is figuring out which way you ride. You can imagine if you run and jump on a sheet of ice, which foot would you naturally put forward? Would you put your right foot forward, or would you put your left foot forward? Right foot forward is called goofy, left foot forward is called regular. This differs from person to person, and it's really just a personal preference type thing. It doesn't mean you're going to be better at skateboarding if you're left foot forward or better at skateboarding if you're right foot forward. You just want to find out which foot is most comfortable for you, and that's how you want to learn. It's really important that you learn your tricks that way so that you're doing it properly the whole time. Now to get started pushing, you want to put your front foot straight on the board just like is shown here, and it's going to be just as if you're walking. It's really the same movement, and that's how I want you to think of it, just to keep it very easy. So take your front foot, whichever you decided is best, whether it's going to be your right foot or your left foot, and put it on that board and just walk away. You can step like I'm stepping here, and just take that as a first practice step of getting moving on your board and getting your balance down. So you have your front foot on the board straight and your back foot off on the side, and then you're just using that to push. And then once you get moving, you can put your back foot on the board just like is shown there. Once your back foot is on the board, you're going to move your front foot so it's no longer straight, but it's sideways, so you're standing on the board in the riding position. So get pushing, your front foot is straight, and then as soon as you put that back foot on, you're going to turn that front foot like is shown right here. And then you can just ride from there. Because when you're riding, your front foot isn't going to be straight, and then each time you take off your back foot to push, you're going to turn that foot. So it's turn, push, put the back foot back on, and turn the front foot again, and then you can ride. I want you to practice this step a lot. Honestly, it's probably the step that gets skipped the most, and it's probably the biggest skipped gradient in the whole of skateboarding. Kids come to me and they say, I don't know how to kickflip, but they never really learned how to push and ride their board properly. This step is extremely important, and it's really worth putting in a good amount of time on it. Next step is stopping. To do this, simply just take off your back foot as if you were pushing and drag it along the ground, stopping your board. I want you to practice this one a bit and get comfortable. I want you to get comfortable with the balance on your board moving and your balance on your board stopping. This isn't very good on your shoes, but it is a good way to stop, and it should be learned well. The next way to stop is dragging your tail on the ground. So first I want you to just stand still and tap your tail on the ground like I'm doing here. You bend your front knee and you keep your back knee straight, pushing your tail into the ground with enough force and drag to cause you to stop. This is one I really want you to learn well because it is the first step to ollieing and many other tricks. So get moving and bend your front knee, causing the front of your board to come up, and put your back foot and your tail into the ground, dragging along the ground until you stop. Don't lean too far back as you'll slide out, and don't lean too far forward because you just won't do anything. You won't stop the board actually. I want you to practice this one a lot. Practice dragging, make a game out of it, see how far you can drag your tail on the ground stopping. Just get really good with the balance aspect of dragging that tail on the ground and stopping the board. This is going to help you out a lot in all of your future tricks. Now that you got stopping the board down, we're going to go into turning the board. The first kind of turn is called a kick turn, and it's where you lift up your front trucks and you turn. If you really got your balance down on stopping, this one should be a piece of cake for you. Just don't push down as hard as you would to stop the board, but just go about halfway, just enough to lift your front trucks up off the ground while turning the front of your board in the direction which you want to go. It also helps to turn your upper body and your shoulders in the same direction. The next kind of turn is just where you lean on the board, causing it to turn. For this one, you're going to need to have your trucks a little bit looser so you can turn from side to side easier. For this one, you're just going to practice leaning from one side and then the other, and depending on how hard you lean is how fast you're going to be able to turn. So I want you to practice first just turning really slowly, leaning to the side, and then get to where you can turn faster, going both different directions. This direction where I turn towards my heels is called front side, and the direction where I turn toward my toes, as is shown right here, is called backside. So learn both backside and front side turns, and doing both the kick turn and the lean turn. Really get your balance down on these well, because it's going to help you out with all the tricks you're going to be learning. The next part is just getting super comfortable and doing all of the above. I want you to just get out on your board and ride around. Ride in a parking lot, ride over cracks, dodge cracks. I want you to ride to school. Just ride whenever you can, even if you're just pushing your board, because the more you're pushing, the more comfortable you're going to be getting. This first step, like I said earlier, cannot be understated. You can never be too comfortable riding your skateboard, so I want you doing this one a lot. Every day when you go out skating, the first thing I want you to do is just get on your board and ride around. Loosen up your muscles, ride the board, get pushing, and start feeling good, get the blood pumping. Before going on to the next step, you need to be very comfortable pushing, stopping the board with your back foot, stopping the board with your tail, and turning the board in all different directions, both by leaning and by doing the kick turn where you lift up your front truck. These steps, like I said, are very, very important. They should be practiced a lot, and they should really be practiced every single time you go out to skateboard. It's the easiest and first thing to all of your skateboarding, so don't underestimate the riding basics. Now that you're comfortable with your riding basics, we're going to learn how to ollie. I'm going to break this into a few simple steps so it's easy to follow and see what step you're doing right or wrong. To ollie, set up your feet in this position with your front foot straight on the board, just back from your front bolts, and your back foot on the ball of your foot, placed on the edge of the tail. Now step 1 is the same action you learned from doing the kick stop and dropping your back foot, except that you are not dragging your tail on the ground, you are popping it off of the ground. Your tail is going to smack the ground quickly, and this is the first part of your ollie. So make sure your feet are in the ollie position, and then just work on bending your front knee, keeping your back leg straight, and smacking your tail on the ground. I want you to do this a few times, just over and over and over, just to get the balance and to feel steady on your knee. It goes straight out, and my foot slides up the board, turning the bottom of my foot into a 90-degree motion. First it's flat, then it turns and slides. This is very important. So this is what I want you to stand still and practice. Take the time to practice this step good, because this is what actually lifts your board up into the air and actually what causes the ollie. The more you practice this now, the better your ollies are going to be. I also want you to take note that at no time was I pushing my foot down on the board. I was always sliding it up, dragging it up the board, which is what causes the lift. Once you've practiced dragging your foot up the board enough, we'll move on to step 3, which is the timing between popping your board and dragging your foot up the board. Notice in this frame I had already bent down and I'm starting to pop up with my shoulders and my arms. My back foot is popping down as hard as I can, and I slap that back foot down on the ground while I simultaneously begin to drag my front foot up. You can see in this frame here it's already starting to go.